With tariff talks top of mind, South Florida farmers say they are in trouble. Crops are rotting on the vines. What does this mean for the future of our food? The Night Team's Heather Walker has a look at tonight's 7 Investigates. By mid-2025, U.S. wheat exports had hit a wall. Long-standing buyers in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East began canceling orders or refusing shipments outright. For an industry that once prided itself on global dominance, the rejection came as both an economic blow and a symbolic rupture. Terminals in Louisiana, Texas, and the Pacific Northwest saw shipment volumes drop by more than 48% year over year. Barges sat idle. Export silos backed up. And for the first time in decades, American wheat was being turned away at port. Not due to availability, but due to preference. At the heart of the collapse was a volatile combination of quality degradation, geopolitical backlash, and logistical dysfunction. U.S. wheat, once known for consistency and grain integrity, had suffered under the pressure of recent climate shocks. A brutal combination of spring floods and late-season droughts warped the 2025 crop. Protein content dropped in hard red winter wheat. Moisture thresholds exceeded acceptable limits. Buyers in Japan and South Korea flagged entire lots as substandard. Saudi Arabia issued formal notices rejecting over 200,000 metric tons due to storage mold and off-spec grain temperature readings. Quality control that had once been a U.S. stronghold was now a liability. Compounding the crisis was geopolitics. After China levied aggressive retaliatory tariffs earlier in the year, U.S. producers lost access to one of the largest wheat markets on Earth. That shock rippled across global trade patterns. The Philippines cut U.S. contracts by 62%, shifting demand to Canada and Australia. Egypt, which had depended on American wheat to supplement Black Sea supplies, pivoted to a new memorandum of understanding with Ottawa. Indonesia, once a rising customer of U.S. grain, declared 3 shipments commercially non-viable and suspended new bids for at least 2 quarters. Every rejection was a signal. American wheat no longer set the standard. Trade policy failures accelerated the fallout. The Biden administration's inability to renegotiate key Pacific Rim grain corridors left U.S. producers isolated. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPPTP, which the U.S. opted out of years ago, became a structural disadvantage. Canadian and Australian suppliers protected under the pact offered tariff-free wheat to markets like Malaysia, Vietnam, and Japan. Meanwhile, U.S. shipments faced additional fees, customs delays, and political friction. Buyers had options, and increasingly they chose to source elsewhere. Agriculture needs a stable, verifiable work source, period, and whether that is domestic or comes from abroad, like we just need help. Export data confirmed the collapse. By July, USDA figures showed total wheat exports down 53% compared to the same period in 2024. Hard red spring wheat, typically a premium product, saw a 61% drop in foreign demand. Soft white wheat, largely grown in the Pacific Northwest and once favored in Asian baking markets, plummeted by 70%. Even durum, used in pasta and historically resilient, posted a double-digit decline. The Chicago Board of Trade reacted accordingly. Wheat futures slid to their lowest levels since 2017. Prices fell below break even for many Midwest producers. The rejection wasn't just numeric, it carried a reputational cost. For decades, U.S. wheat had been the global benchmark. Farmers from Kansas to the Dakotas built entire livelihoods around international demand. That foundation eroded quickly. Once buyers began turning to other origins, confidence in the reliability of American grain supply faded. What remained were unanswered questions and unshipped grain. The infrastructure that once facilitated dominance became a bottleneck. Port congestion, rail delays, and cold storage constraints compounded the export collapse. Warehouses filled with unsold grain. Milling facilities scaled back contracts. Insurance claims soared as exporters absorbed the costs of rejection and spoilage in rural communities. The impact was immediate. Co-ops halted bonuses. Local banks flagged rising default risks. Conversations among wheat growers shifted from strategy to survival. Producers didn't just face a tough season, they faced structural exclusion from the global market. As the rejections mounted and the headlines darkened, the broader implications became impossible to ignore. The wheat wipeout wasn't a temporary glitch or a regional hiccup. It was a reckoning. American wheat, once synonymous with strength and scale, had lost its grip, and the world had already moved on.